Rocking Abraham. Today I'm going to be discussing the minors without their fathers. Lots of children in America without their fathers and teenagers as well. We also have what went wrong. How did we get to this point in time where there are so many broken families? Okay, first off, let's start off with the information that we're going to go through. That is information we have from 2010. This is 7 years ago, and during that time there's 309.3 million population, total population, including the kids. Okay, now the married fathers, married daddies, okay, constitute 24.7 million of the population. Now the children are 72.3 million of this population, and then you have the total daddies, some of them married, some of them domestic, some of them broken families, some of them hit and run, 71 million, okay? Now the men, total amount of men in the United States at the time was 117 million, and the females about 119 million, okay? And then, so we're going to take the total number of daddies, 71 million minus 24.7 million, and that's gonna leave us approximately 45 million broken families. Okay, so about 25 million nuclear families, a husband and a wife and a child. Okay, and then here we have 45 million broken families. These would be families that are not included in the marriage stats. Okay? Now, this is what happens to your child who is raised without a father. They have a lot of mental illnesses because it shows in these stats here. There's a 63% higher youth suicide rates. There's 75% drug rehab for all the youths inside of those facilities. 90% of the homeless youths on the street are from fatherless houses. 85% behavior disorder of minors. According to psychologists and psychiatrists, 85% of all behavioral disorders are coming from single parent houses, okay, fatherless houses, okay. 71% of dropouts, of all the dropouts in America, okay, 70% juvenile detention youths are fatherless. They come from a fatherless home, a broken home, okay. 85% of prison youths, okay, this is a large amount of youths going to prison by committing heinous crimes that are considered to be adult in nature, and the judges send them to prison instead of juvenile hall. And here you can see 85% of them come from broken families. Okay? This is the one to be most concerned about if you have a daughter, because it says you have 711% greater chance of underage pregnancy by being in a broken family. Okay? This is a big stat here. This is why women should not be divorcing men in America, because they want resources. They should be staying together with their man to prevent their daughters from becoming pregnant and basically ruining their lives early on in life. Once you have this great of a number, okay, 711% greater chance than a woman that had another daughter who may be a neighbor's daughter who's living down the street, living in a nuclear family, that one. This one is 711% more likely to get pregnant. That's huge. It's not like a 10% chance more likely or 50% chance more likely. It's 711%. That's off the charts. Okay, if you were to make a chart here, this would be way up past the roof. Okay, so that's insane. That's an insane number to be looking at here. Okay, so what went wrong? Okay, first of all, lots of divorces happening in America. Okay, there's a 50% divorce rate. How do we know that? Because there's 3.6 divorces per year, or 3.6 divorces per year, and about 7.2 marriages per year. So this gives us a rough estimate that about 50% of those getting married that year are basically getting divorced. Okay, that's not to say that those are the ones getting divorced. So the people already married in America are getting divorced that year. So there's only of those getting married, 50% of the population that are married are also getting divorced. So maybe there's about 2 million marriages. There's roughly about 1 million divorces a year in America. So that's where we get the 50% divorce rate in America. Okay, so what else do we know? Okay, what went wrong in America? Okay, promiscuity. Let's find out. In San Diego study, okay, there's 33,000 participants, and then the average number of sex partners at 25 was 8. 8 sex partners here. 8 sex partners. Now, that's a 25-year-old. Okay? Now we know that 88% of the promiscuous females are doing this, okay? Because only 12% of them were virgins, okay? I listed that there, okay? So 88% of the 25-year-olds you're going to meet in San Diego, California are at 25 years old has already had like 8 guys or more, because if you account for the fact that 12% reported 0, then this number would be this number is artificially deflated because we're counting the virgins among this group as well. So the average number would be something more like 9 or 10. But let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's just go with 8 right now, that is the average. Okay? So let's talk about the turnover rate. Now a woman, unless she's not very good in a relationship, she's going to get about a 1-year relationship. Okay? If the woman can't handle the relationship for a year, then there's something wrong with her. Okay? And then if you got 3 months, you have a 3-month cool-off period. Okay? Women tend to have a kind of cool-off period while they are trying to split up with their guy. They're trying to keep the guy in the relationship. The guy's trying to break it off. She's trying to break it off. Then they get back together. Then they kind of break it off again. And they kind of get this is like the cool-off period. It's kind of breaking apart. Okay? It's very up and down. Okay? So let's just give that a 3-month cool-off period before they actually split it off for good. So 1 year and 3 months. Okay? Now, the 25-year-old, okay, is had 8 sex partners, okay, and then they need about a 1 year and 3 months for the cool-off. Okay? So the whole relationship is 1 year and 3 months, and let's find out. 8 times the 3 months, that's 2 years, and 8 times the 1 year is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10 years. Okay, so she started having sex early at age 15. She wasn't married. She was just starting having sex at age 15. Unmarried, unprotected sex. Now, that reminds you of the statistic we just saw down here, where the woman has 711% higher chance of becoming pregnant because they're starting sex early. Okay? Now why do they have a 711% chance of having sex early? Because the women like to group together in groups, okay? If they are from broken families, they will group together in broken families, okay? If they are missing daddies in their lives, they will seek male validation, okay? So this is what you oftentimes see with broken families, is that the females oftentimes cannot wait till they are 25 before having sex. They do not have the faith because no one's going to church and raising them. The women have decided to abandon the ideals of actually raising children. Instead, they just give them off to the state and collect a paycheck. It's the most laziest generation of parenting America has ever seen, ever. So, this is why you're seeing a 711% higher chance of promiscuity and chance of pregnancy, okay? Because those girls need to find social status, and they group together with like-minded individuals. If you're a churchgoer who has a nuclear family, you will likely spend most of your time with other churchgoers who have a nuclear family. If you are a promiscuous young teenager, you will be likely in the same group with young promiscuous teenagers, and they will be chatting about this and that and this and that about the boys. Okay? There will be lots of this and that and this and that. There's lots of back talk in this whole group of girls. Okay? Oh, why didn't she ever have sex? Oh, there must be something wrong with her. She never had sex. Okay, there's nothing wrong with anybody who wants to remain a virgin or be celibate. Okay? Because down here we have the words of Jesus Christ himself, which says, "He who is able to accept it, let him accept it." What this means is, you let him accept it. Or her. Okay? So if somebody chooses to be celibate and wait until marriage, then you have no right to say no. Because from the words of Jesus himself, he who is able to accept it, you let him accept it. Okay? Now, also, I want to show you that according to Stefan Molyneux's stats video, you can look that up. I'll post a link down below. Okay? The turnover rate for a 15 or 16-year-old is about 0.8. Okay? What this means is that it's expected that she has about 1 year and 3 months of turnover rate. If she started sex when she was 13 or 14, for her turnover rate would be something like 9 months. Okay? So there's a big difference just waiting from 13 or 14, just waiting 15 to 16-year-old, your turnover rate increases by 6 months. Okay? Now what about a 17 or 18-year-old? Well, turnover rate's about 1 year and 5 or 6 months. So, again, the longer you wait for for the first time you're starting to have sex as a young female, will reduce your turnover rates for men. Okay? Now, on the side of here, where is your stable relationship? The 13, 14-year-olds reported in a 5-year stable relationship, only 28% of them reported that. For 15, 16-year-olds who started sex at that age, they only reported a 40% chance of having a stable relationship. Out of the 17 and 18-year-olds who started having sex at that age, there's only 47% of them reported a stable relationship. Okay, that wasn't marriage, that was stable relationships. Domestic partners and things of that nature. Okay, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Okay, how many? Now you take this number, this information here that we know. How many sex partners by 35 in this category? Okay, you're gonna add 10 years onto her life, and by the time she's 35, it's likely she'll have 16 sex partners. Okay. Now, looking at Stefan's data, we can tell that a person who had sex partners, 16, okay, 16 here, is going to equal a 17.8% chance of surviving a marriage for 5+ years. This is approximately 82.2% failure, okay? That's what you get from the average woman. 82.2% failure rate based on her sexual history compared to other women, as long as she had 16 sex partners. Okay? So we're just going based on what we know, that she has about 8 sex partners for every 10 years. Okay? So by the time she's 35, it's likely she's had 16. That might not be the case. This is an average, okay? So you have to think of it like a bell curve, okay? The ones at the very top of that bell curve have had 8 to 10, okay? And then you have some at the very lowest part of that bell curve, like the virgins, okay? So looking at the bell curve, okay, right at the top would be the one who had about 16 to 20 partners. And then you have the one that's just slightly here, okay, it hasn't actually gone all the way down to the ground yet, okay. So right here is probably the one where it is about 8, okay. Maybe they had 8 sex partners, and then they decide to become like a celibate and wait for the one now, because they've had enough of the games and enough of the playing with guys and guys playing with them and things like that. They had enough. They want to wait for a husband, something like that. So now they decide, okay, we're just going to wait for the night now, okay, because I'm done playing games. I already had 8. That's enough for me until I get a marriage offer. So here it is, 8 sex partner, average woman. Let's say you marry her at 25 and she has 8. She's waiting on you, the 9th guy who's gonna give her a marriage proposal. She has a 28.7% chance of succeeding in that marriage with you for 5 years. So this is approximately 71.3% chance. Okay, 71.3% chance plus 28.7% chance. That's going to equal the 100%. Okay, so this is 28.7% chance of succeeding, 17.1% chance, or 17.7. Sorry, excuse me. This is 28.7% chance of succeeding. This is 71.3% chance of failure. And the one who had 16 sexual partners is 17.8% chance of succeeding, 28.2% chance of failure. Okay, now the virgin, one with 0 sex partners, waited until marriage, she has an 80.5% chance of succeeding in her marriage for 5+ years. So these are all marriage stats for 5+ years. Okay, so she has only a 19.5% chance of failure. So roughly 1 in 5 virgins will divorce their husbands within 5 years, but 4 out of 5 will stay in their marriage for at least 5+ years. Okay, this is what we like to call in the manosphere the unicorn. And we know that only 5% of the statistics show that only 5% of those getting married, okay, are virgins, okay? Now we don't know if this information is true or not because it's not like it's certified. It's only word of mouth from the woman, you know? So she could be putting on the document that she's a virgin when she's not. And we know that at least 30% of women all lie. So this number you could be looking at like a 3.5% realistic number here, okay, rather than 5% of them being actual virgins, okay? So there you go. That's the real number, 3.5% in my estimate. That's about that's about the closest you're going to become to your unicorn. And that's only a guarantee for 5 years, okay? Because after that, there's not much data on the virgins after 5 years. So they haven't really done a study on virgin brides and grooms for like 10, 20, 15 years. I haven't found that study yet online. So I can look into that later. But right now, we're just going off information that I know of as of right now. So this is your number here in America of chance of succeeding in a marriage. 6.6% chance. According to Statistics Brain, okay, you have a 6.6 chance of marriage for 10 years. And this is 10. I'm going to write a 10 here. 10Y. That's for your 10-year marriage, okay? You have a 6.6 chance of succeeding, okay? You have a 93.4% chance of failure in America for the marriage. And people are wondering, why do people not want to get married? Okay, well, because the statistics are beyond grotesque. Okay, it's beyond appalling. It's now in the range of grotesque. Okay, it's utterly repulsive. Okay, this number here, a 93.4% chance of marriage, that's like utterly repulsive. Okay, now what do we know about all this information? We know that these 6.6% chance of marriage, they may be virgins, okay? A large part of them may be the virgins, okay? Which is why you're seeing low numbers here and low numbers there, okay? What about this, okay? We know that 69% of divorces are initiated by women, roughly 70%, okay? Some say it's as high as 75%, okay? So about 70 to 75% of marriages are initiated by women. And then we also have a wonderful stat here that says 90% of those who have initiated the divorces of the women are college graduates. That's wonderful. They have learned how to divorce rape husbands while in American universities. That is a wonderful, wonderful career to have. Now we know that the universities are against men. You have here that if you want to marry a unicorn, you cannot marry one who has been to college. So you can put that X right on your list. One of the first questions out of your mouth should be, have you been to college or not? And if she has been to college, you can leave her at the door. And I'll explain what I mean by leaving her at the door later. Okay? Now, what else do we know from all the statistics? I already told you that the turnover rate, okay, is longer, okay, for women who have waited longer periods in their lives. So if you find a 25-year-old virgin, she will have a very low turnover rate compared to a 13, 14-year-old, which is approximately 9-month turnover rate for men. Okay, the 15, 16-year-old has about a 1 year and 3-month turnover rate. Excuse me. So it's ideal to find your virgin at a later age. 25 would probably be the most optimal because fertility is not necessarily, the fertility is good at that age. The 20 to 24 is the most fertile age of the women, but their turnover rate for guys is still too low. So 25 would be a good number, probably the most optimal number. 28 would mean that she may never leave you in the rest of her life. If you find a 28-year-old virgin, she may never leave you the rest of her life. Okay, if you marry her. Okay, so this is for marriage. Okay, so marry a virgin who is as old as possible. Okay. I know, isn't that funny? Okay? As old as possible. Marry a virgin as old as possible. I know it's counterproductive. So, but the turnover rate for her men will be extremely low. Okay? Now, let's take a look at the saying. Let me go over the saying of what Jesus is talking about here. The disciples were talking with Jesus about marriage and about divorces. And Jesus had told them that God had intended there to be one marriage and one wife and one marriage. And that if they had broken up, they were committing adultery by being remarried. Okay? And that the law of Moses was only allowed because of the hardness of heart of men. Okay, so in God's view, okay, He wanted people to be married only once. And it's probably because He knows these statistics here. That the woman who is prepared for marriage, about 25, who is a virgin, okay, hasn't been to college. Instead of going to college, imagine this. She would go to etiquette school and learn how to be a good wife. Learn how to take care of the house, the kids, how to be a good wife to her husband. Because a man works all day long to put food on the table and the roof over your head, and then you expect him to come home and do chores for you because you were too lazy. This is one reason why marriages are failing. Because 84% of women have used sex to get their spouse to do chores for them. Okay, they have put the pussy on the stick and said, you need to come and do this for me and I will give you sex. And like a dog, the man chases after it. Okay, and that is not how a marriage is supposed to be, because you are married to each other. You have exclusive right to each other's body. You are two flesh made into one, a union, a holy union. You are not individuals in a marriage. You are a union. Okay? Just like if two companies are to merge, okay, they now own equally parts of the company together. Okay? The one company, this company can't say, hey, you can't sit in my chair. That's still my chair. That's my desk. I own the company too. We merge. We're part of the company as well. You can't tell us that anymore. That's not correct. Okay, it's called holy matrimony because it's a union. It's not called holy individualism. Okay, that's a feminist ideal. So of all these feminists, you will get a very low success rate of 6.6% chance a year. Okay? Now this tells me that the 6.6% chance of failure for 10 years is right on target for around these numbers per 5 years. Okay? Now, I want to talk to you about I forgot all about that one. I don't talk about this one, okay? But I will talk about the other two here. talk about the other two. I'll talk about that one later in one of my next episodes. Okay. So this one here, the parable of 10 virgins. Okay. God said to his disciples, okay, there were 10 virgins, and those virgins were preparing to get betrothed. Okay, so they had a fiance, and 5 of those virgins did not have the oil in the lamp. Okay, it was customary at the time to bring the oil and lamp at that time. They decided they didn't have the oil and lamp, so what did they decide to do? They decided to ask the 5 virgins who did have the oil and lamp if they could borrow the oil and some oil, okay? And they said, no, you can't do that because there would not be enough for me and my new husband if I give it to you. Okay, you see that? You see how that is? Okay, so those 5 virgins were married. The 5 virgins were married, and they told the other 5 to go to the market and buy your own. So they went off to the market, and while they were off in the market, the bridegroom came and he married the virgins, and when the 5 came back with the oil, they were rejected at the door. Why is that? Because they had decided not to be prepared for marriage. What is the percentage chance of a woman who is 3.5% chance in America who is actually prepared for marriage? What percentage of those? Probably a very, very low number, which is why you see a lot of guys who would like to import wives, because being taught how to be a wife in America is a practically 0% chance of that happening in today's environment. Okay, so I want to talk about 1 Corinthians 6:16. Okay, so because 2 are made into one flesh, you're not allowed to marry a harlot. Okay, and what is a harlot? This is a harlot here. Okay, all this sexual promiscuity is harlotry. Okay, it always has been, always will be, and the Bible says never to marry a harlot, because once a person is corrupted by Satan, what does someone from Satan have to do with someone from the light? So marrying somebody who is sexually deviant will corrupt your soul and corrupt the Holy Ghost that comes down into your body, okay, when you're baptized and you follow the ways of God and you have the grace of God. The Holy Spirit is inside your body like a vessel, like a temple, okay? As Jesus himself said, destroy this temple in 3 days and I'll rebuild it, okay? So what he meant by that is that his body is no longer his own. It is for the Holy Spirit. Okay? So that is what's happening here. Okay? That we're learning from Corinthians, Paul saying never marry a harlot. With a big N, never. With a big N. Okay? It wasn't a small N. It was one letter sentence in the Bible, and it says with a big capital N and a big exclamation point at the end of it. Never. This is probably the most pronounced no, you're not supposed to do it in the Bible ever. Okay? If there's 10 commandments, this would be commandment number 0. Okay? If Paul had existed with Moses at the same time, he would have put never on the 10 Commandments. Okay, that would have been number 11. Actually, that would have been numbers, well, not number 0. I mean, it'd be number 3, actually, sorry. That'd be like number 3 on the list, okay? Because the first 2, the greatest commandments of all, are to love God and then love thy neighbor. Okay, those are the first two. Okay, with all your heart and all your soul. So, in the parable of 10 virgins, those 5 that were not prepared could not possibly have loved their husbands when they were marrying their husbands because they were simply unprepared for marriage. This shows us that an unprepared woman is unloving when she's entering the marriage with you because she was never prepared to marriage. She was never prepared to be wife or be married to begin with. This tells us, according to God, you should leave those women out in the cold. You should close the door to them and say, no, these 5 were prepared, these 5 were virgins, these five are doing the right thing, and you have done the wrong thing. You have basically scorned me on my wedding night by not being prepared and not caring enough and not loving enough to do such a thing. So there you go. This is one of the things why the women nowadays are very upset about their marriages. If the wedding is going wrong, that is why you see like bridezillas and things like that on the TV, because it's in them to want a perfect wedding. Okay, but you're seeing a lot of women wearing the white dress, but really it should be something like black or dark red because they've had plenty of sex already and they really aren't virgins. Okay, the white dress is for virgins. Okay, symbolic of virginity. Okay, now here we see that God told us the woman's unprepared, she's not a virgin, don't marry her. In Corinthians, Paul told us never be married to a harlot because your two flesh become one and you now become a harlot from her being a harlot. Okay? Your soul becomes corrupted because whatever is in her ideals and in her mind and in her soul, she will begin to corrupt yours. And then you will fall away from the grace of God. Okay? Then on to the subject of celibacy. Okay? He who is able to accept it, let him accept it. So if you want to wait for marriage, if you want to wait and be a virgin, it's perfectly fine, it's perfectly legitimate according to Jesus Christ. In fact, he not only wants you to do that, he encourages you to do that and encourages other people to let you do that. So when someone's talking to you and trying to encourage you and say, when are you going to get married? Just say, he who is able to accept it, let him accept it. And of course, the person will not know a thing about what you're saying. He who is able to accept it, let him accept it. That person won't understand a word you're saying because they don't understand the word of the Bible. But then you can say, then if they ask you, what does that mean? You haven't read the Bible yet? No, please, you need to read the Bible. Okay, those are words from Jesus himself. Just read that. I don't have to explain it to you because I'm not a priest. Okay? And then move on. So basically, the topic is moved on. Okay? The person can't inquire to you anymore. You told them where to find that information at. It's up to them to go and do that now. Okay? So that's the end of my entire session on what happened in America. Why are there so few children who have fathers? Because of harlotry and high divorce rates. And this is why we have experienced a failure in the nuclear family. There's over 45 million broken families, and there's only 24.7 million nuclear families. That's 1 out of 3 broken families. 1 out of 3 approximately. Okay, slightly higher than 1 out of 3, but like 1.1 or something out of 3. Okay, it's not that's not something to boast about. In Malta, you see in Malta. Let me erase that. In Malta, okay, very religious country. You see 60% of the population are married in Malta. Okay, that's a very high number. Okay, compared to 24.7 million out of 309 million. That's a really low number. That's less than, that's 9%. It's like close to 10%, but a little bit less. Like 8 or 9% of the population is only married in America. Okay, in the nuclear family right here. Okay. This one right here, this could include married people that are separated. This is the number of people who are who do not have the wife, the husband, and child living under the same roof. Only 24.7 million had that. Okay, so this had 24 million fatherless. Okay, that's a really huge number. Okay, broken families. Okay. Okay, so that'll be the end of the show today. Please click the like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to donate, please do so. I have a Patreon link down below.